Imagine you are sitting in traffic, late for an important meeting. The frustration builds, your heart races, and you feel helpless. Or perhaps you are at home, waiting for a call that never comes. Doubt and anxiety creep in. Maybe you worked hard for something, but in the end, things didn't go as planned. In moments like these, happiness feels distant, almost impossible. Why is it that some people remain calm and content even when life throws challenges their way? Why do we allow small inconveniences to steal our peace? Is lasting happiness even possible? Or is it just a temporary feeling that comes and goes? Think about a child playing with a toy. At that moment, nothing else exists, just pure joy. But if the toy breaks, tears follow. As adults, aren't we just the same? We find happiness in things, people, and circumstances. But when they change, our happiness fades. Is there a way to break free from this cycle? Welcome to Wisdom Woven, where we explore the timeless wisdom of Buddhism to help you find true and lasting happiness. In this video, we will uncover powerful yet simple ways to stay happy in every situation, no matter what life brings. Before we dive in, here's something important. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of people subscribe. If you find value in this content, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us reach more people on this journey of wisdom. And don't forget to drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Now, let's begin. Happiness is not about avoiding pain or difficulties. It is about understanding life deeply. In Buddhism, suffering is not something to fear, it is a teacher. When we truly understand suffering, we begin to unlock the secret to happiness. Many people believe happiness depends on what happens in their lives. But the truth is, happiness is not something we find outside. It is something we cultivate within. Imagine a tree standing tall in every season. Whether it rains, storms, or shines, the tree remains. Our happiness should be like that, unshaken by circumstances. Buddhism teaches that the root of suffering is attachment. We attach ourselves to people, possessions, and expectations. When things change, as they always do, we feel lost. But what if we could learn to let go, not in a careless way, but in a way that frees us? Mindfulness is one of the greatest tools to stay happy. It means being fully present in this moment. Often, we live in memories of the past or worries about the future. But happiness is here and the now. When we train our minds to focus on the present, suffering loses its grip on us. Another powerful practice is gratitude. We spend so much time chasing what we don't have that we forget to appreciate what we do. The simple act of being grateful can transform our entire outlook on life. In this video, we will explore these ideas and more, helping you find a happiness that lasts. Stay with us as we uncover the wisdom that has guided people for centuries. Understanding suffering, the root of unhappiness. To understand happiness, we must first understand suffering. In Buddhism, suffering is not something to be avoided or feared. It is, in fact, an inevitable part of life. Life itself is full of ups and downs, joys and sorrows. But what we often fail to realize is that our suffering doesn't come from the things that happen to us. It comes from how we respond to those things. Imagine, for a moment, a peaceful pond. The water is still, reflecting the sky, calm and undisturbed. Now imagine someone throws a stone into that pond. The water ripples, and for a while, it's chaotic. But what if the stone had never been thrown? The pond would have remained still, peaceful. This is how it is with our minds. Our peace is disturbed when we attach to the things around us, our desires, our fears, our expectations. The stone represents these attachments. When we learn to let go of them, we can return to the stillness of the pond. You see, we are conditioned to believe that suffering is something that should never happen. We fight against it, we resist it, and in doing so, we create more suffering for ourselves. But if we could change our relationship with suffering, we might find that it doesn't need to control us. Think of it this way. You are walking in the forest, and you stumble upon a rock in your path. You could be angry, curse the rock, and feel upset that your walk has been interrupted. Or you could simply step over the rock and continue on your way. The choice is yours. In life, we are all presented with obstacles, stones in our path, but how we choose to respond is what truly matters. If we react with anger, frustration, or attachment, the stone becomes a much larger problem than it actually is. But if we acknowledge it, accept it, and then move on, we are free. Suffering, in essence, is a result of attachment. We attach ourselves to things, people, and expectations, believing that they are essential to our happiness. But as life changes, as it inevitably does, these attachments are broken. A loved one may leave, a dream may not come true, or a possession may be lost. When these things happen, we feel as though we are losing a part of ourselves. But this is the trap of attachment. We believe that our happiness is dependent on external things, on what we have, on who we are with, or on how others perceive us. Yet true happiness, lasting happiness, comes from within. It comes from releasing these attachments and learning to live in harmony with the world as it is, rather than how we wish it to be. Look at the world around you. Everything is impermanent. The seasons change, the sun rises and sets, people come and go, and everything that is born must eventually die. If we can accept the impermanence of life, we can begin to understand that our attachments are fleeting. They are like the waves on the ocean. The waves rise and fall, but the ocean itself remains. But here's the paradox. While suffering is a part of life, it's also a teacher. Without suffering, we would never learn to grow. We would never learn the depths of compassion, patience, and wisdom. It is through suffering that we begin to understand the nature of the mind and the heart. When we experience pain, we are given the opportunity to practice mindfulness, to cultivate resilience, and to awaken to the present moment. Consider the pain of a lost relationship. It may feel as though your heart has been shattered. The pain is deep, and it seems unbearable. But over time, that pain teaches you about love, about the impermanence of life, and about the importance of living fully in the moment. The suffering, then, becomes a stepping stone to greater wisdom and compassion. If we never suffered, we would never appreciate joy. Imagine, for a moment, that you live in a world where everything is always perfect. There is no pain, no loss, no disappointment. Would you truly understand the beauty of happiness? Would you even recognize it? The contrast between light and dark, between joy and sorrow, is what allows us to appreciate the fullness of life. But suffering also teaches us something very powerful, the importance of acceptance. It is not about avoiding pain or wishing it away. It is about accepting that pain is part of the journey and that it does not define us. When we stop fighting against suffering, we open ourselves to the possibility of peace. Imagine you are holding a glass of water. If you hold it too tightly, your hand will begin to hurt. But if you loosen your grip, the pain disappears. Suffering works in a similar way. The more tightly we hold on to our attachments, our desires, and our fears, the more pain we experience. But when we let go, when we release our grip, we free ourselves from the suffering we've created. This is not to say that we should be indifferent to life's challenges. We are human, after all, and it is natural to feel sadness, grief, or frustration. But we can choose how we relate to those emotions. Instead of seeing them as obstacles, we can see them as opportunities for growth. We can choose to respond with mindfulness, compassion, and acceptance. Think of a garden. It's full of flowers, plants, and trees. But it also has weeds. If you focus only on the weeds, the garden will seem full of nothing but weeds. But if you focus on the flowers, you will see that the garden is beautiful despite the weeds. Our lives are like that garden. We will always have challenges, difficult moments, painful experiences. But if we focus on the beauty, the love, the small moments of joy, we begin to see that life, in all its complexity, is beautiful. When we understand that suffering is an inevitable part of life, we stop resisting it. We stop trying to avoid it, and instead, we begin to accept it. And in that acceptance, we find peace. We are like the sky, vast and expansive. Sometimes, clouds come dark, heavy clouds that seem to cover the entire sky. But we know that the clouds will pass, and when they do, the sky will be clear once again. Suffering is like those clouds. It may feel overwhelming at times, but it is temporary. If we allow ourselves to experience it without attachment, we will find that, like the sky, we remain unchanged. So, the next time you find yourself facing a difficult situation, remember, suffering is not something to fear. It is a natural part of life, a teacher that can guide you toward greater wisdom and happiness. It is not what happens to us that defines us. It is how we respond to what happens. If we can respond with mindfulness, acceptance, and compassion, we can transform suffering into something beautiful. The path to happiness does not lie in avoiding suffering, but in understanding it, accepting it, and learning from it. And as we do, we discover that happiness was always within us. It was just waiting to be uncovered. The art of letting go, overcoming attachments. We often hear about letting go. It's a simple idea, yet one of the most difficult practices to master. In our daily lives, we become so attached to things, to people, to expectations. These attachments often shape our thoughts and actions, creating an illusion that happiness is something we can acquire. But what if happiness isn't something to be gained, but rather something to be released? Letting go doesn't mean giving up or abandoning what we care about. It means recognizing the truth that our happiness is not dependent on these things. We become attached to certain outcomes, thinking that only when we reach them will we be happy. We think we need the perfect job, the right relationship, or the ideal circumstances to be at peace. But when we focus on these attachments, we miss the opportunity to experience the joy that's already within us. Think of a person holding a rope tightly. The rope represents something they think they can't live without. It could be a dream, a goal, a desire. The more they grip it, the more it hurts. Their hands start to ache, their arms tremble with the strain. But if they let go of the rope, if they release their grip, they would feel the weight lift, and freedom would come. This simple image teaches us that sometimes, the act of holding on is the source of our pain. In Buddhism, this concept is known as attachment. It is the root cause of suffering. We cling to people, to possessions, and even to our own identity. We define ourselves by what we own, what we do, or how others see us. But life is constantly changing. People come and go. Things break or get lost, and circumstances are never fixed. When we base our happiness on something outside ourselves, we are setting ourselves up for disappointment. The first step in letting go is to recognize the impermanence of life. Nothing lasts forever. People change, situations change, and even our own feelings change. At one moment, we might feel joy, in the next, sorrow. By understanding that everything is temporary, we can learn to appreciate things without becoming too attached to them. We can enjoy the moments as they come and let them pass when the time is right. Imagine the feeling of holding on to an old book. It's a book you've had for years, filled with memories and experiences. But as time passes, the pages become worn, the cover starts to fall apart. Holding onto the book begins to feel burdensome. Now, imagine letting go of the book. You may feel sadness, but there's also relief. You can let it go and create space for new things in your life. In the same way, our attachments are like that old book. They may have served us in the past, but holding on to them too tightly only weighs us down. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting or abandoning. It means allowing ourselves to live freely without the constant need to possess or control. When we let go, we make room for new experiences, new relationships, and a deeper understanding of ourselves. Letting go also requires us to face the fear of uncertainty. We often hold on to attachments because they give us a sense of control. We know what to expect, and this makes us feel safe. But life is unpredictable. No matter how much we try to control it, things will always be beyond our reach. Instead of fighting this, we can embrace it. Letting go is not a loss. It's an invitation to trust life and allow ourselves to flow with it. The fear of letting go can be deep. It can feel like standing on the edge of a cliff, unsure of what lies below. But the paradox is that when we let go, we find the courage to leap, knowing that we'll be supported in ways we cannot predict. There is freedom in surrendering to life's flow. The more we practice letting go, the more we discover that happiness doesn't come from holding on, it comes from trusting the process of life itself. Letting go also means releasing our expectations. We often live with a set of expectations of how others should treat us, how our lives should unfold, and how we should feel at all times. But when life doesn't meet these expectations, we feel disappointed, frustrated, and upset. Letting go of these expectations allows us to accept life as it is, rather than how we think it should be. Consider the river. The water flows naturally with no need to control its course. It moves over rocks, bends around obstacles, and continues its journey, no matter what comes its way. If the river were to resist the rocks or try to change its path, it would create chaos. But by simply flowing, it finds its way, and it reaches the sea. Letting go is like the river, trusting the flow, allowing things to move and change naturally, without trying to force or control them. Another powerful lesson in letting go comes from the Buddha's teachings on non-attachment. He didn't say that we shouldn't care about anything. Rather, he taught that we should care deeply without becoming attached to the outcome. In life, we can care for others, pursue our passions, and engage with the world. But we must remember that our happiness does not depend on any one person or thing. Think about the people you love. You care for them deeply, but you cannot control their actions or feelings. When we become overly attached to someone, we may begin to expect things from them, expectations that are often not met. This leads to frustration and disappointment. By letting go of our need to control others, we create space for healthier relationships based on trust and respect. We can love without possessing, care without demanding, and give without expecting anything in return. This practice of non-attachment also extends to our own expectations of ourselves. We live in a world that often values success, achievement, and perfection. But these ideals can be heavy burdens. We may feel that we are not enough unless we meet certain standards. Letting go of these expectations allows us to find peace with who we are right now, without the need to constantly prove ourselves. We are already enough. In Buddhism, there's a concept called equanimity. It's the practice of maintaining a calm and balanced mind, no matter what life brings. Equanimity comes from letting go of our attachments to success, failure, praise, and blame. When we release our need to control the outcome, we can face both joy and sorrow with the same peaceful heart. Equanimity doesn't mean we become indifferent or uncaring. Instead, it means we are able to experience life fully without being shaken by it. We can be present with our feelings, knowing that they are temporary. When we let go of the need to hold on to every emotion, we allow ourselves to experience them fully and then release them. Ultimately, letting go is not a one-time event. It is a continual practice, one that we return to every day. It requires patience and awareness, as we slowly learn to release what no longer serves us. We begin by letting go of small things, and over time, we develop the strength to let go of bigger attachments. As we practice letting go, we start to see the beauty in impermanence. We understand that every moment, every experience, is fleeting. This realization deepens our appreciation for life, for we know that every moment is precious. When we let go, we are not losing anything. Instead, we are gaining the freedom to live fully, without fear or regret. In letting go, we discover that happiness is not something we seek outside of ourselves. It is something that arises naturally when we stop holding on to what no longer serves us. By embracing impermanence, practicing non-attachment, and cultivating equanimity, we open ourselves to a deeper sense of peace, joy, and freedom. Mindfulness and awareness, the key to inner peace. The mind is like a restless river, flowing constantly, never pausing. It's easy to get swept away in its currents, lost in thoughts about the past or worries about the future. But what if, instead of being carried away, you could step back and watch the river? What if you could stand calmly by its bank, observing, yet untouched? This is the power of mindfulness. Mindfulness is more than just a practice. It's a way of living. It's the ability to be fully present in every moment, not distracted by what's coming next or what's already happened. It's about being here, now, with full awareness of your thoughts, feelings, and surroundings. Imagine you are sitting in a room, and you hear a knock on the door. Without mindfulness, your mind might start racing. Who is it? What do they want? Why are they here? Your body might tense up, your heart rate might increase, and you could start feeling anxious or impatient. But with mindfulness, you pause. You notice your breath, the sensation of your feet on the ground, the sounds in the room. You acknowledge the thought of someone at the door without letting it carry you away. You don't judge or react. You simply observe. This simple shift, this pause before reacting, holds incredible power. It allows you to respond, rather than react, to life's challenges. And that, my friend, is the beginning of true peace. Now, think about your daily life. How often do you find yourself lost in thoughts about something that happened earlier in the day, or something that might happen tomorrow? We are constantly thinking, always planning, always worrying. But in all that thinking, we miss what is actually happening in this moment. We miss the warmth of the sun on our skin, the sound of birds chirping, the smile of a stranger. We miss life. Mindfulness brings us back to the present. It trains us to notice what is around us, what is within us, and how we are truly feeling. It helps us detach from the stories our minds create about the past or the future. When we are mindful, we are not lost in the noise of our thoughts. We are aware, in this moment, of what is real and true. But being mindful isn't just about noticing things, it's about how we notice them. Often, we go through life in a rush, judging everything around us, labeling it as good or bad, right or wrong. But mindfulness invites us to experience the world without labels, without judgment. It asks us to simply observe, to let things be as they are. When we live mindfully, we begin to realize that our thoughts don't define us. We are not our thoughts, just as we are not the river. We are the observer. And this is where freedom begins. In Buddhism, mindfulness is not a tool to control the mind. It is a tool to understand the mind. It's about seeing things as they are, without the filter of our desires, fears, or attachments. When we see things clearly, we can respond with wisdom and compassion, rather than reacting out of habit or emotion. The beauty of mindfulness is that it can be practiced anywhere, anytime. You don't need to set aside hours of your day. You can practice mindfulness while washing dishes, walking, or even talking to a friend. It's about bringing your full attention to the present moment, wherever you are, whatever you are doing. And as you practice, you begin to notice that life becomes richer, fuller, more meaningful. At first, mindfulness might feel like a struggle. Our minds are so used to running wild, so used to being in control. But over time, the more we practice, the easier it becomes to return to the present moment. We begin to find peace in the small things, the feel of a warm cup of tea in our hands, the sound of a gentle breeze rustling the leaves, the laughter of a loved one. And as we become more mindful, we begin to understand something deeper. We understand that peace doesn't come from the outside. It doesn't come from achieving goals, owning things, or having the perfect life. True peace comes from within, from our ability to be present with what is, just as it is, without wishing it to be different. When we are mindful, we are no longer slaves to our thoughts and emotions. We are free to experience life fully, without being controlled by the ups and downs of our external circumstances. This doesn't mean we won't face challenges. It doesn't mean we won't experience pain or disappointment. But it does mean that we can face those challenges with clarity and calm, without letting them disturb our inner peace. Mindfulness is the key to breaking the cycle of suffering. When we are mindful, we stop reacting out of fear, anger, or frustration. We stop holding on to things that cause us pain, and we begin to let go of the attachments that keep us trapped in a cycle of craving and clinging. We begin to see that happiness is not something we chase, but something we cultivate through awareness and acceptance. The beauty of mindfulness is that it doesn't require us to change who we are. We don't need to be perfect. We don't need to control our minds. All we need to do is be present, to notice what is happening right now, without judgment. And as we do this, we begin to experience a deeper sense of peace, a peace that isn't dependent on anything outside of ourselves. Over time, mindfulness becomes a natural way of being. It's not something we have to force or strive for. It's something that grows organically as we practice, like a tree that grows tall and strong with each passing season. And as our mindfulness deepens, we begin to experience life in a whole new way. We begin to see the beauty in the small moments, the joy in the ordinary. We begin to feel connected to the world around us, to the people in our lives, to ourselves. Mindfulness also teaches us to be kind to ourselves. We live in a world where we are often our harshest critics, always striving for more, always pushing ourselves to be better. But mindfulness invites us to embrace who we are, right now, without needing to change or improve. It asks us to treat ourselves with the same kindness and compassion that we offer to others. This is the heart of Buddhism, the understanding that peace and happiness are not found outside, but within. And mindfulness is the path to discovering this truth for ourselves. As you continue to practice mindfulness, you'll begin to notice that your relationship with yourself and the world around you changes. You'll become less reactive, more present, and more at peace. The noise of the world may still be there, but it will no longer disturb you. You will be able to stand by the river, observing, calm and unshaken, no matter what comes your way. So, take a moment now. Breathe deeply. Notice the sensations in your body, the thoughts in your mind, the world around you. Be here, now. This is mindfulness. This is the key to inner peace. And remember, mindfulness is not a destination. It's a journey. It's not about reaching a perfect state of calm or enlightenment. It's about being present, over and over again, moment by moment, and discovering the peace that lies within. Gratitude and contentment, finding joy in simplicity. Let's take a moment and think about something simple. Maybe the warmth of the sun on your face, the soft breeze in the air, or the comfort of a warm cup of tea in your hands. These small moments, so easily overlooked, are often where true happiness lives. The problem is, we've become conditioned to look for happiness in big, grand achievements, big promotions, perfect relationships, or material possessions. We wait for these things to come, thinking that they're the key to lasting happiness. But often, when we get them, we find that the joy is fleeting, and we are left wanting more. The cycle begins again, and we wonder why we're not truly satisfied. Gratitude is the practice of stopping to appreciate the simple things, the things that we take for granted every day. In Buddhism, gratitude is seen as a powerful tool to transform our mindset and experience of the world. It's easy to focus on what we don't have or what we've lost. But when we shift our focus to what we do have, even the smallest blessings, we begin to open ourselves to a deeper sense of peace and happiness. Imagine waking up in the morning and feeling thankful for the bed you slept in, the roof over your head, and the food that nourishes your body. For many, these are things that are often overlooked in the rush of daily life. We get caught up in the demands of the day, rushing from one task to another, without taking the time to acknowledge the blessings we already have. But when we cultivate gratitude, we start to see the beauty in even the most ordinary moments. Take a simple walk through the park. Notice how the flowers bloom, how the birds sing, how the trees sway with the wind. This is nature's gift to us, freely given. And yet, how often do we truly take the time to appreciate it? In Buddhism, this awareness is a form of mindfulness, a state where we are fully present in the moment, noticing all that surrounds us. When we practice this kind of mindfulness, we cannot help but feel gratitude. Gratitude brings us into the present. It pulls us away from the constant longing for more success, more wealth, more recognition. Instead, it brings us to the beauty of what is already here. This shift in focus is what allows us to experience contentment. Contentment doesn't come from accumulating more things, more achievements, or more approval from others. It comes from being fully satisfied with what we have in the here and now. When we look at life through the lens of gratitude, we realize that we have everything we need to be happy. We may not have everything we want, but we have enough. Enough to live, to love, to connect with others, and to enjoy the simple things that bring us joy. Contentment, then, isn't about achieving perfection. It's about accepting life as it is, finding peace in its imperfections. This doesn't mean that we stop striving or working toward our goals. In fact, gratitude helps us to strive more wisely. When we are content with what we have, we can approach life with a clearer mind and a more open heart. We no longer need to chase after things for the sake of feeling better about ourselves. We realize that we are already enough, as we are, in this moment. The Buddha spoke about the middle way, the path between excess and deprivation. In terms of gratitude and contentment, this means not being attached to either having too much or having too little. It's about finding balance. When we are grateful for what we have, we are less likely to become attached to it. And when we don't need to hold on to things so tightly, we free ourselves from the suffering of always wanting more. Contentment doesn't mean we stop desiring or aspiring. It means that we don't tie our happiness to those desires. We recognize that the things we want may bring temporary satisfaction, but they cannot give us lasting happiness. The joy of new possessions, the thrill of a new achievement, these are momentary joys. They come and go. But contentment comes from understanding that true happiness isn't dependent on external circumstances. It's something we cultivate from within. It's an inner peace that comes from realizing that we are enough, just as we are. It's about finding satisfaction in the present moment instead of constantly seeking it in the future. And this is where Buddhism's teachings on impermanence come into play. Everything changes. The things we accumulate, the relationships we have, the achievements we chase, they're all temporary. When we accept this truth, we can begin to let go of the idea that these things will bring us lasting happiness. We can find contentment in the fleeting nature of life itself. To be truly content, we must learn to let go of the need for things to be different than they are. We don't need to wait for the perfect moment, the perfect conditions, or the perfect circumstances to find happiness. We can find joy in the simplicity of the present, the joy of breathing, the joy of being alive, the joy of connection. These are the things that truly matter. It's important to understand that gratitude doesn't mean ignoring difficulties. It doesn't mean pretending that everything is perfect when it's not. Life has its ups and downs, its challenges and hardships. But when we practice gratitude, we begin to shift our perspective. We learn to see the lessons in the struggles, in the blessings and the challenges. We become stronger, more resilient, and more at peace with ourselves. True contentment comes when we stop comparing ourselves to others. In a world that constantly tells us we need more, that we need to be more, it's easy to feel like we're falling behind. But when we cultivate gratitude and contentment, we stop measuring our worth by what others have or what we think we should have. We realize that happiness is not about competition or comparison. It's about appreciating what we have right now. When you wake up in the morning, instead of thinking about all the things you don't have or the things you need to do, take a moment to simply be thankful. Thankful for the opportunity to start a new day. Thankful for the love and support of those around you. Thankful for your health, your strength, and your ability to grow. Gratitude is a practice that grows with time. The more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. And the more you practice, the more you will find contentment in the simple things. It becomes a habit, a way of seeing the world with open eyes, not looking for what's missing, but appreciating what's already here. As you go through your day, try to catch yourself in moments of dissatisfaction or longing. Notice when your mind begins to focus on what you don't have. Gently guide it back to gratitude. What can you appreciate in this moment? What small blessings are you overlooking? When you train your mind to focus on gratitude, you begin to shift your energy. Instead of feeling drained and empty, you feel full and alive. You feel connected to the world around you. You realize that everything you need to be happy is already here. All you need to do is see it. In the end, gratitude and contentment are not just practices, but ways of life. They are the keys to unlocking lasting happiness. When we embrace them, we realize that happiness isn't something to be chased or earned. It's something we can cultivate, right here, right now, in the simplicity of our everyday lives. Finding joy in simplicity is a profound lesson that the Buddha taught. It is a path of peace and fulfillment, free from the constant striving that so often leaves us empty. By practicing gratitude and contentment, we learn to live with less, but to experience so much more. More peace, more joy, more love. It's all within reach if we open our hearts and minds to the gifts that life has already given us. Gratitude is a simple yet powerful way to transform our lives. It brings us into the present moment and allows us to experience joy in its purest form. And when we cultivate contentment, we begin to understand that happiness doesn't lie in what we have or don't have. It lies in how we choose to see the world, in how we choose to live each moment with appreciation, acceptance, and peace. Compassion and loving kindness. The power of selflessness. In the stillness of your heart, imagine a warmth so deep, so expansive, that it has the power to heal not only your own wounds but those of others around you. This is the power of compassion and loving kindness, two qualities that are at the heart of Buddhism and can transform every corner of your life. But how do we tap into this deep well of love when, at times, our own hearts feel burdened by the weight of our own struggles? In a world that often tells us to look out for number one, to prioritize our own needs above all else, the idea of compassion can feel like an afterthought. We are so wrapped up in our own experiences, our own pain, and our own desires that we forget how deeply interconnected we are. But Buddhism offers a different perspective. It invites us to see beyond ourselves, to recognize that we are not separate from one another. The suffering of others is not just their suffering, it is our suffering too. And the joy of others is our joy. This shared experience is the very fabric of our existence. True compassion is not about feeling sorry for someone or simply offering words of comfort. It is not about pity. Compassion in Buddhism is the ability to sit with someone in their pain, to understand that pain, and to respond with the desire to alleviate it. It is the recognition that we are all vulnerable, we are all human, and we are all deserving of love. When we allow ourselves to truly feel another's suffering, we begin to understand the depth of human experience, and in that understanding, we find the strength to act with kindness and love. Loving kindness, or metta, goes hand in hand with compassion. It is a love that is unconditional, a love that does not expect anything in return. It is a love that is not bound by time, space, or condition. Loving kindness is about wishing for the well-being and happiness of others, regardless of who they are or what they have done. It is the ability to extend kindness without hesitation or judgment. But how often do we limit our love to those who are close to us? How often do we withhold kindness because of past hurt or fear of rejection? The path of compassion and loving kindness begins with ourselves. Often, we are our own harshest critics. We hold ourselves to impossibly high standards, constantly judging ourselves for our mistakes, flaws, and imperfections. But how can we extend kindness to others if we cannot first offer it to ourselves? Buddhism teaches that self-compassion is not selfish, it is necessary. Only when we accept and love ourselves can we begin to radiate that love outward. When we are kind to ourselves, we are more capable of being kind to others. This does not mean that we are to ignore our flaws or become complacent. Rather, it means that we approach ourselves with gentleness, with understanding, and with a willingness to grow. When we stop fighting against our own humanity, we create space for love to flow freely. We stop seeing ourselves as broken, as unworthy, and we begin to see ourselves as we truly are, beautiful, imperfect beings capable of deep love and connection. Compassion also means allowing others to be who they are. It means letting go of the need to control or fix others, and instead, offering them the space to heal and grow in their own time. We often find ourselves frustrated with the people in our lives who don't change as we want them to. We become irritated with their behaviors, their words, their actions. But compassion teaches us that everyone is on their own journey, with their own struggles. Rather than judging or trying to change them, we can offer love, understanding, and acceptance. Have you ever noticed how just a small act of kindness can brighten someone's day? A smile, a compliment, a helping hand, these seemingly insignificant acts can have a profound impact. The beauty of compassion is that it is not always grand gestures that make the difference. It's the small, everyday actions that ripple out into the world, spreading kindness wherever they go. A simple act of loving kindness can create a chain reaction that touches countless lives. When we practice compassion, we shift our focus from what we lack to what we can give. We stop seeing ourselves as victims of circumstance, and we start seeing ourselves as agents of change. Each time we choose to act with compassion, we create more peace, more love, and more happiness in the world. The more we give, the more we receive. This is the paradox of compassion. It multiplies when shared. But there is another side to compassion that is often overlooked: the importance of setting boundaries. Compassion does not mean sacrificing our own well-being for the sake of others. It does not mean allowing ourselves to be taken advantage of or allowing others to walk all over us. True compassion involves recognizing when we need to step back and protect our own energy. By setting healthy boundaries, we can continue to offer love without depleting ourselves. Boundaries are not walls. They are guidelines that allow us to stay true to our own needs while still showing compassion to others. In Buddhism, there is a concept known as karuna, the deep wish for all beings to be free from suffering. This is the ultimate form of compassion. It is not limited to those we know or love, but extends to all beings, even those who may have hurt us. When we practice karuna, we let go of our grudges, our judgments, and our anger. We see the suffering in others, and we respond with love, not because they deserve it, but because love is the antidote to suffering. When we forgive, when we let go of resentment, we free ourselves from the chains of bitterness and hatred. At times, it may seem difficult to practice compassion, especially when we are hurt or angry. Our natural instincts may push us to react defensively, to protect ourselves, and to retaliate. But Buddhism teaches that in these moments, it is even more important to return to compassion. In those moments of pain, we have the greatest opportunity to practice the love that transcends all suffering. Compassion is not a one-time action. It is a way of being. It is a daily practice, a mindset that we cultivate over time. Just like any muscle, compassion grows stronger the more we use it. It is not always easy, but it is always worth it. The more we practice, the more natural it becomes to approach the world with love, understanding, and kindness. In the end, the more we give, the more we receive. Compassion and loving kindness are the keys to unlocking a happiness that is not dependent on external circumstances. They are the foundation of a life lived with purpose, with peace, and with deep, lasting joy. So, let us begin this practice today. With each thought, each word, and each action, let us open our hearts to the world around us, and in doing so, open the door to a happiness that is boundless and everlasting. The role of patience and acceptance in happiness. Life moves swiftly, like a river that never stops flowing. It doesn't wait for anyone, and it doesn't care about our plans or wishes. We often find ourselves frustrated when things don't happen the way we want them to, or when life throws unexpected challenges our way. But here's a truth we must all face. The only constant in life is change. Every moment is fleeting, and no matter how hard we try, we cannot control everything around us. This is where patience comes in. Patience isn't just about waiting for something to happen. It's about understanding that the present moment is enough. In the Buddhist tradition, patience is seen not as a passive waiting, but as an active acceptance of life as it is. It's about being okay with things unfolding at their own pace, trusting that, in time, everything will work out as it's meant to. When we rush through life, we miss the beauty of each moment. We're always looking ahead, always chasing something better, something more. But true happiness isn't found in the future, it's found right here, right now. Patience teaches us to slow down, to be present, and to accept the moment just as it is. Think about it. How many times have you rushed through a day, only to realize later that you missed the small moments that could have brought you joy? How many times have you waited for something to happen, only to find that the waiting itself was the hardest part? Patience helps us to stop and breathe, to appreciate the present, and to trust that we don't have to force anything to be perfect. Acceptance is a big part of this. It's the willingness to embrace life's ups and downs without resistance. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up or resigning ourselves to suffering. It means acknowledging that life will have its challenges, and we can't always control them. But what we can control is our response. We can choose to face difficulties with grace and equanimity, knowing that every experience, good or bad, is an opportunity to grow. When we accept life as it is, we stop fighting against the flow of reality. We stop creating unnecessary suffering for ourselves by wishing things were different. This doesn't mean we stop striving for improvement or growth. It simply means we stop fighting the present moment. We stop wishing for things to be different from how they are right now. Patience and acceptance go hand in hand. You cannot have one without the other. Patience teaches us to endure, to wait without anxiety, and to trust that things will unfold in their own time. Acceptance, on the other hand, helps us to let go of our need for control, to release the pressure we put on ourselves to make things happen. Together, they create a state of peace where happiness can flourish. We all have moments when things don't go as planned. Maybe we get stuck in traffic, miss an important call, or find ourselves in an argument with someone we care about. In those moments, it's easy to become frustrated, angry, or upset. But this is where patience and acceptance can make all the difference. Instead of reacting with irritation or frustration, we can pause and remind ourselves that this too shall pass. We can choose to stay calm, knowing that life is constantly changing, and nothing lasts forever, not the traffic, not the argument, and certainly not the frustration. In the Buddhist tradition, we are taught that suffering arises when we resist change or when we become attached to things staying the same. But when we practice patience, we begin to accept that life is impermanent, that things will always shift, and that nothing is permanent, whether it's joy, sorrow, success, or failure. By accepting this truth, we can find peace, knowing that everything is temporary. Patience also teaches us to be kind to ourselves. So often, we are our own harshest critics, pushing ourselves to do more, be more, and achieve more. But when we practice patience, we give ourselves the space to be imperfect. We allow ourselves to make mistakes, to take things slow, and to learn at our own pace. In this world, there's so much pressure to be fast, to be efficient, and to constantly move forward. But happiness is not found in speed. It's found in presence. When we're patient, we stop rushing. We start to savor life. We begin to enjoy the journey instead of obsessing over the destination. We allow ourselves to rest when we need to be still when the world feels too fast, and to accept that sometimes doing nothing is exactly what we need. When we're patient with ourselves and others, we create space for compassion. We understand that everyone is on their own journey, and that sometimes people need time to grow, just like we do. Instead of becoming frustrated with others for not meeting our expectations, we accept them as they are. We allow them the same grace that we extend to ourselves. Acceptance doesn't mean we stop trying to improve our lives. It doesn't mean we stop working toward our goals. It simply means that we stop resisting the present moment. We stop fighting the things we cannot change and focus our energy on the things we can control, our thoughts, our actions, and our responses. When we live with patience and acceptance, we begin to see life in a new light. We realize that happiness is not dependent on the perfect circumstances or the right outcome. Happiness is found in how we respond to life, in how we choose to embrace the flow of things, and in our ability to find peace in the midst of chaos. Every challenge, every obstacle, is an opportunity to practice patience and acceptance. The next time life throws you a curveball, remember that it's not the situation itself that causes suffering, it's how you react to it. When you choose patience, you choose peace. When you choose acceptance, you choose freedom. And with these two qualities, happiness becomes less about what happens to you and more about how you choose to be in the world. Remember, patience and acceptance are not just abstract concepts. They are practices that we must cultivate every day. Just like any other skill, the more we practice, the easier it becomes. So, the next time you find yourself in a challenging situation, take a deep breath and ask yourself, how can I be patient with this moment? How can I accept what is happening right now without resistance? It is through these practices that we can begin to live a life of true peace and happiness, grounded in the knowledge that whatever happens, we are capable of facing it with grace, patience, and acceptance. Detaching from expectations, embracing the present. In our everyday lives, we hold on to many expectations. We expect our relationships to bring us happiness, our careers to fulfill us, and our lives to follow a certain script. But what happens when reality doesn't match our expectations? What happens when things don't go as planned? When the path we thought we would follow is blocked? This is where suffering often begins. We create a mental image of how life should be, and when reality doesn't align with that image, we feel disappointed, frustrated, or even angry. We feel like something is wrong, but in truth, it's our expectations that are the problem. Imagine this. You're planning a picnic. You've chosen the perfect spot, packed delicious food, and are eagerly awaiting the day. But when the day comes, it rains. The picnic is ruined. Or is it? You could sit there, upset that your perfect plan has failed. You could allow the rain to ruin your entire day. But what if, instead, you simply accepted the rain for what it was? What if you took a moment to enjoy the sound of the raindrops, the cool breeze, and the freshness in the air? What if you looked at the rain not as an obstacle but as part of the experience? The truth is, life is full of moments that don't match our expectations. But it is only when we cling to these expectations that we experience frustration and suffering. If we are always waiting for things to go the way we imagined, we are missing the beauty and the peace of the present moment. Letting go of expectations doesn't mean giving up on life or resigning ourselves to mediocrity. It means understanding that life is unpredictable. It means embracing the unexpected. It means accepting that things won't always go the way we want. But that doesn't make them any less valuable. This is a fundamental lesson in Buddhism. It teaches us to live without attachment to the way we think things should be. Attachment to expectations is one of the primary causes of suffering. When we are attached to an outcome, we are setting ourselves up for disappointment. But when we learn to let go of those expectations, we free ourselves from unnecessary pain. It's not easy. We are conditioned to want things to be a certain way. We want our children to succeed, our relationships to be harmonious, and our work to be fulfilling. But the truth is, life is much messier than that. People change. Circumstances change. And if we are constantly clinging to the idea of how things should be, we will find ourselves constantly disappointed. So what does it mean to let go of expectations? It doesn't mean that we stop caring about our goals or stop striving for improvement. It means accepting that we cannot control everything. We cannot control other people's actions, the weather, or the future. All we can control is our own response to the present moment. When we stop clinging to expectations, we allow ourselves to fully experience what is happening right now. We can find joy in the unexpected, peace in the chaos, and beauty in the imperfections. The world doesn't have to fit into our neat little boxes. Life is already full of wonders if we are open to them. Think about a time when you were upset because things didn't go the way you planned. Perhaps you were let down by someone, or a situation didn't unfold as you expected. How did you feel? Chances are, you felt frustrated, hurt, or angry. Now, think about that same situation, but imagine if you had let go of the need for it to be different. What if you had simply accepted it as it was and moved forward with an open heart? This is the power of detachment. It doesn't mean you don't care about what happens. It doesn't mean you give up on your dreams or stop working hard. It means you release the grip of expectations and allow yourself to flow with the changes of life. Buddhism teaches us to be mindful of our attachments. Attachments aren't just about material things. They can also be about our expectations of how things should unfold. These attachments hold us back from living fully in the present moment. When we are attached to an outcome, we are not fully experiencing the journey. Detaching from expectations doesn't mean we stop making plans or setting goals. We can still strive for things in life, but it means that we approach life with flexibility and openness. We are no longer rigidly tied to a specific outcome. We let go of the need to control everything and instead embrace whatever comes our way. One of the most freeing aspects of letting go of expectations is that it helps us embrace the present moment. We no longer feel like we're missing out on something because things aren't going the way we envisioned. We are no longer caught up in thoughts of, if only, or why didn't this happen? Instead, we accept the present moment as it is, and in doing so, we find peace. Letting go of expectations also means we learn to appreciate what is. We stop comparing our current situation to an idealized version of the future or the past. Instead of wishing for things to be different, we open ourselves to the beauty of what is right in front of us. This is a practice. It's not something that happens overnight. We've spent years building up expectations and attachments. But with mindfulness, we can begin to shift our perspective. We can start to notice when we're attached to an outcome and gently remind ourselves to release that attachment. The more we practice detaching from expectations, the more we begin to experience life as it is beautiful, unpredictable, and full of possibilities. We stop waiting for the perfect moment and start living fully in the now. In this way, detachment doesn't mean giving up on life. It means embracing life just as it is, without the need to control or perfect it. We can still pursue our dreams, but we learn to find contentment in the journey, not just the destination. When we let go of expectations, we also create space for something even more powerful: acceptance. We accept ourselves, we accept others, and we accept life. We no longer fight against the flow of life but move with it, like a river flowing toward the sea. This acceptance doesn't mean we stop making efforts to improve. It simply means we no longer judge life by how it should be. We learn to be content with the way things are, while still striving to make things better. And in doing so, we find peace. Life is full of surprises, some good, some bad. But the more we let go of our expectations, the more we allow ourselves to fully experience the richness of life. We begin to appreciate the beauty in the unexpected, the joy in the unknown, and the peace in surrendering to the present moment. And that, ultimately, is the path to true happiness. The happiness that doesn't depend on how things unfold, but on how we respond to whatever comes our way. So, let go of your expectations. Let go of the need to control everything. Embrace life as it is, and you'll find that true happiness is always available to you, right here, right now. The practice of meditation, cultivating inner joy. Imagine this. You sit quietly in a peaceful space, your eyes closed, your mind still. You begin to focus on your breath. In, out. Slowly, the noise of the world begins to fade, and you are left with a sense of calm that feels like it's been waiting for you all along. For a moment, there is no rushing, no worrying, no distractions. Just you, in the present moment. In this space, happiness does not come from external circumstances, but from within. This is the practice of meditation, and it holds the key to finding lasting peace and joy. Meditation is not just a technique, it's a way of being. In the busy world we live in, it can be easy to lose touch with ourselves. We are constantly moving, thinking, planning, and reacting. But what if we could slow down and simply be? What if we could step back from the noise and observe our thoughts without judgment? This is where meditation can change everything. At its core, meditation is about being present. In Buddhism, we call this mindfulness. It's the practice of paying attention to what's happening in the moment without getting lost in thoughts about the past or future. When we practice mindfulness through meditation, we train our minds to focus, to remain steady, and to be at peace regardless of the circumstances around us. Many people think of meditation as sitting cross-legged for hours on end, trying to empty the mind. But this isn't the essence of meditation. True meditation is simply the act of becoming aware of your breath, your body, your thoughts. It is not about forcing the mind to be still, but about observing it without attachment. The more we practice, the more we realize that our thoughts come and go like clouds in the sky. They do not define us, and they do not have to control us. One of the most profound aspects of meditation is its ability to help us observe our emotions without being swept away by them. Often, we react impulsively to feelings of anger, sadness, or anxiety. We allow these emotions to shape our actions and our thoughts. But when we meditate, we learn to notice these emotions as they arise, without attaching to them. We can simply observe them, as if they are visitors passing through. By doing this, we create space between ourselves and our emotions. We no longer need to be ruled by them. This space is where true freedom lies. As you sit in meditation, you might notice that your mind is not as quiet as you'd like it to be. Thoughts come and go, some pleasant, some unpleasant. This is normal. The key is not to fight these thoughts or try to push them away, but to acknowledge them and let them pass. Over time, as you practice this, you begin to notice that the space between your thoughts grows wider. You find yourself less affected by the daily fluctuations of your mind and more in tune with your inner peace. But meditation isn't just about finding peace in silence. It's also about transforming our relationship with the world. In our day-to-day lives, we often react to situations with impatience, frustration, or desire. Meditation helps us become more aware of these reactions. When we meditate, we start to see that many of the things we react to are not as important as we once thought. In fact, they often don't even matter in the grand scheme of things. This realization is liberating. It allows us to respond to life more calmly and with greater clarity. One powerful way meditation helps us connect to our inner joy is through the cultivation of loving kindness. This practice, known as metta in Buddhism, involves sending goodwill, love, and compassion to ourselves and others. It's a simple yet profound practice that can be done during meditation. By focusing on feelings of kindness and compassion, we begin to dissolve the barriers that separate us from others. We move beyond judgment and anger, and we open our hearts to the world around us. As we cultivate this loving kindness, we find that our hearts become lighter, and our joy grows naturally. In addition to its emotional benefits, meditation also has physical benefits. Studies have shown that regular meditation can lower stress, reduce anxiety, and improve overall health. When we meditate, we activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps us relax and recover from stress. This allows the body to heal and restore itself. In a world where we are constantly on the go, meditation gives us the chance to rest and recharge, not just for our minds, but for our bodies as well. Meditation also teaches us the importance of patience. In our fast-paced world, we often want everything now. We want quick fixes and instant results. But meditation requires patience. It teaches us that change doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process. Just as a seed grows into a tree over time, the benefits of meditation unfold slowly. Sometimes, it takes time before we notice the shifts in our mood, our thoughts, or our reactions. But with consistent practice, the changes will come. And when they do, they will be lasting. It's important to remember that meditation is not a way to escape from the challenges of life. It's not about shutting out the world or pretending that everything is perfect. Instead, meditation helps us to face life's challenges with greater clarity and equanimity. When we sit in meditation, we are not avoiding our problems. We are learning how to approach them with a calm and clear mind. We are preparing ourselves to respond to life's difficulties with wisdom, instead of reacting impulsively. The beauty of meditation is that it can be practiced anywhere, at any time. You don't need a special place or a certain amount of time. You can meditate while walking, while eating, or even while doing simple tasks like washing dishes. The practice of mindfulness is all about bringing your full attention to whatever you are doing. When you do this, you begin to experience the world in a deeper, more meaningful way. The act of meditation doesn't have to be confined to a cushion or a yoga mat. It can be woven into every moment of your life. As you continue to meditate, you will find that the sense of joy and peace you experience during your practice begins to spill over into other areas of your life. You become less reactive and more mindful of your interactions with others. You begin to see things more clearly, without the haze of stress and anxiety clouding your judgment. You start to appreciate the simple moments, like the sound of the birds outside, the warmth of the sun on your face, or the taste of a meal. Meditation opens your eyes to the beauty of the present moment, and in doing so, it brings you closer to the happiness that resides within. Meditation is a powerful tool for cultivating inner joy, and it's available to anyone, regardless of age or experience. It's not about perfection. It's about showing up, again and again, with patience and kindness toward yourself. The more you practice, the more you will discover that happiness isn't something you need to chase. It's something that is already within you, waiting to be uncovered. And meditation is the key that unlocks this hidden treasure. So, as you sit quietly in meditation, remember this: you are not searching for happiness outside of yourself. You are simply remembering it. With each breath, each moment of stillness, you are coming home to the joy that has always been yours. And with time, you will find that the peace and happiness you cultivate in your practice will stay with you long after you leave your meditation cushion. Meditation is not a destination. It's a journey that leads you deeper into your own heart, into the very essence of who you are. And in this journey, you will discover that happiness is not a fleeting emotion, but a steady, unshakable presence that dwells within you always. As you continue to practice, let go of the idea that you need to achieve something or reach a certain level of mastery. The goal of meditation is not to be perfect, but to be present. So, take it one breath at a time, and trust that with each moment, you are cultivating the peace and joy that will carry you through life's ups and downs. The practice of meditation offers you a refuge, a place to reconnect with your true self. And in that stillness, you will find the most powerful form of happiness, a happiness that doesn't depend on the world around you, but on the peace you have found within. Overcoming negative emotions, transforming suffering into strength. Negative emotions are a part of being human. They are not something we can avoid, nor should we. In fact, they are natural responses to life's challenges, and in many ways, they are the very things that shape us. However, the key to lasting happiness is not about avoiding negative emotions, but learning how to transform them into something positive and empowering. Have you ever noticed how anger, fear, or sadness can feel like an overwhelming force? These emotions take over, making us react in ways we later regret. At that moment, it can feel as though these emotions control us completely, but they don't have to. Buddhism teaches us that emotions are not permanent. They are like waves in the ocean. They come and they go. The important thing is how we respond to them. Do we let them consume us, or do we learn to ride those waves with wisdom? Let's take anger, for example. It's an emotion we all experience at some point. It's easy to think of anger as something we need to avoid or push away, but that's not the approach that Buddhism suggests. Instead of seeing anger as something bad, we are invited to look at it closely. What is anger trying to tell us? Often, Anger arises from a sense of injustice or a feeling of being wronged. But when we react impulsively, we only add more fuel to the fire. Anger, when left unchecked, leads to suffering, not just for the one who angers, but for everyone around them. To transform anger, Buddhism encourages us to practice patience and mindfulness. Instead of acting out immediately, we can learn to pause and observe the emotion. Feel it, acknowledge it, but don't let it define your actions. By sitting with anger in a mindful way, we begin to understand that it is not a part of who we truly are. It is just an energy, a temporary state that can be transformed. Through mindfulness, we see the anger, and in that very moment, we are no longer controlled by it. We are free to choose how to respond. Fear is another emotion that can hold us back. It's natural to feel fear when faced with the unknown, but sometimes fear becomes an obstacle that prevents us from moving forward, from taking risks or embracing new opportunities. In these moments, Buddhism teaches us to confront fear, not run from it. Fear is often rooted in our attachment to what is comfortable or familiar. We fear the future because we don't know what lies ahead. But the truth is, the future is always uncertain. The more we cling to the idea of control, the more fear takes hold of us. The key to overcoming fear is acceptance. By accepting that life is unpredictable and that we can never fully control every aspect of it, we release the grip fear has on us. Accepting the unknown allows us to live more freely, embracing life as it is. When we stop fighting fear, we find strength in vulnerability. We find courage, not because we are fearless, but because we are willing to move forward despite our fear. Sadness, too, is a powerful emotion. It can come after a loss, a disappointment, or even when we feel disconnected from others. Sadness has a way of pulling us into a dark place, making us feel hopeless or disconnected from the world. But sadness, like all emotions, is not permanent. In Buddhism, we are taught to embrace our sadness with compassion. Rather than pushing it away or pretending it doesn't exist, we acknowledge it. We sit with our sadness and allow it to flow through us, understanding that it is part of being human. When we resist sadness, it lingers. But when we accept it and allow ourselves to feel it fully, it passes. The emotions are not enemies to be defeated. They are messengers. They show us where we are attached, where we are afraid, where we are in need of healing. When we approach our emotions with mindfulness and compassion, we begin to transform them. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It is a practice, one that requires patience and understanding. But over time, we become less reactive and more responsive. We become more at peace with ourselves, no matter what emotions arise. One of the most powerful tools in transforming negative emotions is meditation. When we meditate, we create a space between stimulus and response. In that space, we have the ability to choose how to react. This is where the transformation happens. Meditation helps us to quiet the mind, allowing us to observe our emotions without being swept away by them. By regularly practicing meditation, we strengthen our ability to stay calm and centered, no matter what emotions arise. It's important to remember that emotions are not the enemy. They are part of the human experience. The goal is not to eliminate emotions, but to cultivate a healthy relationship with them. Instead of running from sadness, anger, or fear, we learn to welcome them, observe them, and release them when the time is right. This is the path to true emotional freedom. When we learn to transform negative emotions, we begin to see the world in a new light. Instead of being at the mercy of our feelings, we find strength in them. We learn that even in our darkest moments, there is an opportunity for growth. Each emotion we experience has the potential to teach us something valuable. Whether it's the patience to deal with anger, the courage to face fear, or the compassion to embrace sadness, each emotion brings us closer to understanding ourselves and the world around us. Buddhism reminds us that suffering is not something to avoid, it is something to learn from. The suffering we experience through negative emotions is not punishment. It is an opportunity to become wiser, more compassionate, and more resilient. By accepting our emotions and learning to transform them, we transform ourselves. We no longer live in reaction to the world around us. Instead, we respond with wisdom and strength. So, the next time you find yourself overwhelmed by a negative emotion, remember this: you have the power to transform it. You are not your anger, your fear, or your sadness. These emotions are not permanent, and neither are you. By embracing them with mindfulness and compassion, you free yourself from their grip. You become the master of your emotions, not their servant. And in that freedom, you find true happiness. Living with purpose, Dharma, and the path to true fulfillment. When you wake up every morning, do you ever ask yourself, why am I here? What is my purpose? In the busyness of life, these questions can sometimes seem distant or unimportant. But deep inside, we all have a desire to live a life of meaning, a life that feels right. This sense of purpose is what drives us, gives us energy, and provides us with the inner peace we all long for. In Buddhism, this sense of purpose is known as Dharma. Dharma is not just a word. It is the very essence of living in harmony with the world around you. It is the path of truth, of right action, and of fulfilling the purpose you were born to fulfill. Living with Dharma means aligning your actions with your deepest values, your true nature, and the needs of the world around you. It's like a compass that guides you through the twists and turns of life. When we live without purpose, life feels like an endless series of tasks, events, and distractions. We might be constantly running, never really arriving anywhere. But when we tap into our Dharma, we feel grounded. We know that everything we do, no matter how small, contributes to something greater. Even the simplest action, whether it's helping a neighbor, showing kindness to a stranger, or simply being present for a loved one, becomes an expression of our deeper calling. Purpose doesn't have to be grand or dramatic. It doesn't mean you have to be a famous artist or a successful entrepreneur. Your purpose may be as simple as being a loving parent, a supportive friend, or a compassionate soul who uplifts others. These roles are just as important as any outward success. In fact, true fulfillment comes not from what we achieve, but from how we serve the world around us. It's easy to get caught up in the idea of purpose as something big or extraordinary. Society often tells us that we need to do something remarkable to be valuable, to have worth. But the truth is that the most important work is the one that aligns with our values, our heart's true calling. It's about living authentically, without pretending to be something we are not, or chasing after someone else's dream. When you find your Dharma, life doesn't feel like a struggle. You stop feeling like you're constantly fighting against the current. Instead, it feels like you're flowing with life. You begin to trust that everything you do, no matter how simple, has meaning. And because you are living in alignment with your true self, you begin to experience fulfillment on a deeper level. Many people search for happiness and achievements, possessions, or recognition. But these things, while momentarily satisfying, cannot provide lasting peace. True happiness comes when we live with purpose, when we know that our life has meaning beyond the fleeting pleasures of the world. When we wake up every day with a sense of intention, knowing that what we do matters, the struggles of life lose their power over us. The Buddha spoke of right action, which is a key component of living with Dharma. Right action means acting in ways that are kind, just, and mindful. It's about choosing to live in harmony with the world, respecting all beings, and making choices that contribute to the well-being of others. Right action isn't about perfection. It's about doing what's right in each moment, and it's deeply connected to our sense of purpose. Living with Dharma also means accepting that life is constantly changing. There will be times when things don't go as planned, when your path seems unclear, or when challenges arise. But when you are living in alignment with your purpose, these challenges no longer feel like obstacles. Instead, they become opportunities for growth. You learn to trust that even in difficult times, you are exactly where you need to be. Purpose also brings clarity. When you know your purpose, decisions become easier. You stop second-guessing yourself. There's a quiet confidence that comes from knowing that every action you take is in line with your higher calling. You stop looking outside of yourself for approval or validation because you have already found your direction. This clarity doesn't come all at once. Sometimes it takes time to discover what truly matters to you. It requires introspection, patience, and self-awareness. But the more you practice mindfulness and self-reflection, the clearer your path becomes. And when you begin to align your life with your Dharma, you will feel a profound sense of peace that comes from knowing you are on the right path. In moments of doubt, it's helpful to ask yourself, what is most important to me? What am I truly passionate about? What would I do if I wasn't afraid? These questions can lead you to your Dharma. And when you begin to live in alignment with these answers, you will find yourself naturally moving toward fulfillment. Buddhism teaches that all beings have the potential for enlightenment. Your Dharma is the path that leads you toward that enlightenment. It is the way of wisdom, compassion, and inner peace. By living with purpose, by following your Dharma, you contribute to the collective good of all beings, and in doing so, you begin to experience a deep and lasting sense of happiness. When you wake up every morning, remind yourself that your life has meaning. Every interaction you have, every choice you make, is an expression of your true purpose. Even if you don't yet know exactly what that is, trust that each step you take brings you closer to it. And as you move forward with intention, you will find that happiness isn't something to chase after. It's something that arises naturally when you live with purpose and wisdom. At the end of the day, the question isn't, how do I find happiness? It's, how do I live a life that matters? When you align your actions with your Dharma, you will find that true fulfillment is always within your reach. Happiness, peace, and purpose are not distant dreams. They are waiting for you to embrace them, to live them, here and now. In the grand journey of life, living with purpose is the key that unlocks lasting fulfillment. It's not about what you have or what you achieve. It's about the way you live, the way you serve others, and the way you stay true to your deepest self. This is the path of Dharma, and it is the path to true happiness. Conclusion: embracing a life of happiness and wisdom. As we come to the final part of our journey together, I want you to take a deep breath and reflect on everything we've shared. The road to lasting happiness is not always easy, and it is certainly not a straight path. There will be moments when life will challenge you, when doubts will creep in, and when the weight of the world feels heavy on your shoulders. But I want you to remember this: happiness is not a destination, it is a way of living. It is a way of being present, of embracing the moment, and of understanding that everything, both the joys and the struggles, are part of a bigger picture. Life, as we know, is a series of changes. One moment, you might be riding high, feeling like you've found the key to happiness. And then, the next moment, you could face an unexpected challenge that throws everything off balance. But through all of this, there is one constant: the practice of mindfulness and self-awareness. The ability to step back and observe without judgment. To notice your thoughts and emotions not as something you must react to, but as something you can simply acknowledge and let go of. This is the heart of Buddhist wisdom, the practice of being aware without attachment. Now, let me ask you something. How often do you find yourself caught in the cycle of wanting more? More success, more possessions, more validation from others. You see, this desire for more is what keeps us trapped in a loop of unhappiness. We chase after things, believing that once we get them, we will be happy. But happiness that depends on external circumstances is fleeting. True happiness is not found in the more, it is found in the enough. Enough. What does that mean for you? It means recognizing that you already have everything you need to be content. Happiness is not something you find outside of yourself. It is something you cultivate within. Buddhism teaches that when we stop looking for happiness in external things, we begin to see it blooming inside of us. It is in the simple things, like the warmth of the sun on your face, the sound of birds singing in the morning, the smile of a loved one, or the peaceful silence of being alone with your thoughts. You don't need to go searching for happiness. You just need to create the space for it to arise. And this space is created through practices like mindfulness, gratitude, and compassion. It's about allowing yourself to simply be, without judgment, without comparison, and without the need to prove anything. It's about accepting life as it is, not as you wish it to be. In this journey towards happiness, it is important to remember that we are all works in progress. It's okay if you don't have all the answers, if you stumble along the way, or if you fall short of your expectations. This is the human experience. But what matters is that you keep moving forward, one step at a time. Like a tree that bends with the wind but never breaks, you too can remain grounded in your inner peace, no matter what life throws at you. So, as we conclude this video, I want to leave you with this thought. The secret to lasting happiness lies in our ability to live with intention, to choose how we respond to the ups and downs of life, to choose to embrace the present moment, no matter how imperfect it may be, to choose to be grateful for what we have, rather than always longing for what we don't, to choose to cultivate compassion and kindness, not just towards others, but also towards ourselves. Every moment is an opportunity to practice mindfulness. Every interaction is an opportunity to be present. Every challenge is an opportunity to grow. And every day is an opportunity to choose happiness. The choice is always in your hands. I hope that the insights shared in this video have inspired you to take the first step, or perhaps the next step, on your own path to happiness. Remember, this journey is not about perfection. It is about progress. It is about learning to find peace in the midst of chaos, joy in the face of pain, and contentment in the simplest of moments. Thank you for being with me on this journey. I hope that the wisdom shared here will help you create a life of happiness, no matter the circumstances. If you found this video helpful, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Wisdom Woven. Your support allows us to continue bringing you content that can change lives. And don't forget to drop your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to hear about your journey towards happiness and any insights you may have gained from this video. As you move forward, remember that happiness is a practice. It is something you can return to again and again, no matter where life takes you. Embrace it, cherish it, and watch as it transforms not only your life, but the world around you. Thank you, and may you find peace and joy in every step you take.